awake in his dark room, the moonlight filtering in through the large windows. No matter how much he tried to ignore it, something about wine had unsettled him. That fairy spark she had, mixed with an innocence he couldn't quite place, gnawed at him. He closed his eyes, letting sleep take over, but his peace was short-lived. Suddenly he found himself standing in a grand room, cloaked in shadows. Two figures stood before him, arguing heatedly. The scene was surreal yet eerily familiar. He couldn't see their face clearly, but their voice echoed around him like an ominous memory. One man, tall and strong, pointed accusingly at other. His voice was filled with venom. She doesn't love you. You think she belonged to you, but she promised herself to the king of another land. The other man looked at him with red eyes filled with anger. He stepped forward, fist clenched. You are lying. She would never betray me like that. His voice trembled with anger and fear. The first man snorted, his laughter cold and sharp. You are a fool. She was never yours. She is marrying another, and you are nothing but a pawn in her game. Second man's chest tightened. No, she shouted, his voice breaking. She is mine, only mine. I don't care what anyone say. I won't let anyone else have her. Just as Jungkook stepped forward, reaching out as if to grab the man, the world around him began to blur. The voices faded and the room dissolved in darkness. Before he could make sense of anything, a loud, shrill voice burst through the air, his alarm clock. Jungkook's eyes snapped open. His alarm clock blared beside him, pulling him out of the strange dream. He sat up in bed, rubbing his eyes, trying to make sense of what he had just seen. Jungkook, was that? He muttered, but the lingering emotions from dream, possessiveness, betrayal remained fresh in his mind. Then a smirk crept onto his face. Jungkook, well, today should be fun. He stretched lazily, already pointing how to make Vian's day difficult. With that, he got out of bed and started to get ready for college. The day moved forward, and soon Vian found herself in the crowded hallways of Eon High. Her cheerful and carefree nature attracted smiles from many, but she had learned to keep her head down, especially when it came to certain people. Her thoughts barely wandered back to the strange new friendships she was forming with Taehyung and his group. They were kind to her, but there was something about Jungkook that she couldn't place. His constant bullying was unsettling, yet there was a glimmer in his eyes that confused her. As she entered the classroom, she noticed Taehyung waving her over with a bright smile. Vian over here, he called out enthusiastically. She smiled back and made her way to the group, sitting beside him and Taehyung's close friend, Jay. The trio chatted, and Taehyung mentioned his excitement for the weekend. Soon Professor came to attend first lecture. He started calling names of each and every student when a familiar name caught Vian's attention. Professor Jungkook, he called out his name, waited few seconds for him to reply, but no response. Professor looked up and saw he is absent. Then he moved forward. Not Vian. Vian looked around the room in search of Jungkook, but couldn't able to find him. Didn't he came today? Is he sick? She thought. For some unknown reason, she found herself drawn toward him. Even he's a bully, but she felt like there's something more to it. She was lost in thoughts when Taehyung shook her softly. She looked at him, confused, but instead of saying anything, he signaled her to look ahead, and when she looked forward, she saw her professor glaring at her. Professor, care to explain, Miss Vine? What were you thinking, or should I say daydreaming? He said sarcastically. Vine looked down, embarrassed. apologized for her mistake and her professor forgave her, saying it shouldn't happen again or he will give her punishment for not being attentive in the class. Taehyung also apologized to her for not telling her earlier, but she said it's fine. Time skip. Taehyung was teasing Ryan about what happened earlier in class and Ryan was telling him to stop. They were going for their next class when Ryan told him that she need to put books in her locker so he can go first. Taehyung nodded and left for class, leaving Ryan alone. Meanwhile, Jungkook strode into college with his usual air of dominance, his eyes scanning the campus until they landed on Ryan. She was laughing softly with Taehyung. The sight made his jaw tighten, jealousy surging through him as Ryan walked past him in the hallway. He stepped in front of her, blocking her way. Jungkook, having fun with Taehyung, his tone was dripping with mockery. Ryan blinked up at him, caught off guard. Ryan, what do you want, Jungkook? His smirk deepened. Jungkook, you think you are something special, don't you? Hanging out with Taehyung and his friends. But let me tell you something. He leaned in slightly, his voice dropping low. Stay away from him. He doesn't need someone like you following him around. Ryan's heart raced. The coldness in Jungkook's voice sent a chill down her spine, but she squared her shoulders and met with his gaze. Ryan, I'm not doing anything wrong. We are friends. Jungkook's eyes narrowed. Jungkook, we'll see about that. He walked away, leaving Ryan unsettled, deeply in her thoughts. Am I doing something wrong? She whispered to herself, but the bell rang, interrupting her thoughts, indicating class is going to start soon. She immediately placed her book in locker and went to her class. Later that day, during lunch break, the lively atmosphere of campus was abuzz with conversations. Ryan and Taehyung sat together chatting with their friends when the popular girl Taehyung approached them. Her confident stride was accompanied by a bright smile and her eyes were unmistakably locked on Taehyung. Soyun, hey Taehyung, I am having a birthday party this weekend and I'd love for you to come. Her tone was sweet, maybe a bit too sweet, and Taehyung, ever the polite and friendly guy, smiled back. Taehyung, sure, sounds fun. Can I bring my friends too? Soyun's eyes flickered toward Ryan, her smile flattering for a moment, but quickly she regained her composure and nodded. Soyun, of course, the more, the merrier. She turned her attention directly to Ryan, the practiced friendliness in her eyes now directed at the girl she had barely spoken to. It would be great if you came to Ryan. Maybe we could get to know about each other more. Ryan's natural warmth shone through as she smiled brightly. Ryan, I'd love to come. Thanks for inviting me, she said, smiling back at her. Okay, so it's done. All of you are coming to my birthday party. I'll wait for you all. By the way, I have to go now. A lot of students are still left to be invited, she said and left. Soyun, after warmly inviting Taehyung and Ryan, casually made her way over to Jungkook's table. Her intent wasn't to flirt. Everyone knew she had a crush on Taehyung. She was simply trying to ensure everyone would be at her birthday party. 7. Jungkook, she said with a polite smile, I am having a birthday party this weekend. I have invited the whole class. You are welcome to join us. Jungkook didn't lift his head from the tray in front of him. His voice cold and indifferent, not interested. Soyun, always composed, nodded but didn't back down easily. It's just our parents are business partners. People might wonder if you don't show up. Jungkook slowly raising his eyes, locking his sharp gaze on her. I don't care what people think. I make my own decisions. If I don't want to come, no one can force me. Soyun blinked, but her composure remained intact. She gave him a brief nod, understanding that arguing won't change his mind. Alright then, just thought I did extend the invitation. See you around, Jungkook. With that, she calmly walked away, leaving him to his thoughts. Jungkook's eyes shifted back to Wine and Taehyung. Watching them laugh and talk made his irritation grow stronger. His fist clenched under the table, and one of his friends leaned over, noticing the tension. You sure about not going? Soyeon invited Wine too. Look like Taehyung will be there with us, his friend murmured. Jungkook's face hardened, and he muttered under his breath, "We'll see about that." Time skip after college. As students were getting ready to head home, Wine, Taehyung and a couple of their classmates sat together near park, chatting casually about the day. Taehyung had just mentioned the party that everyone was invited to. So Wine, Taehyung began, his tone casual but kind. Are you going to Soyun's party? It seemed like everyone going to be there. Wine smiled, still feeling unsure. I guess so. Taehyung, you are sure it's okay if I come? I don't want to impose. Taehyung laughed lightly, shaking his head. Of course you are not imposing at all. We are all going together, and besides, it will be fun to hang out as a group. Before Wine could respond, a familiar chilling voice cut into the conversation. Making friends already Wine. Jungkook's voice was laced with sarcasm as he approached them, his presence dark and intimidating. Wine's heart skipped a beat. She straightened her posture, trying not to show her fear, though her hands slightly trembled. I'm just being friendly, she managed to say, her voice soft but steady. Jungkook's eyes glittered as he leaned closer, his gaze locked on her, friendly or desperate. His smirk widened as the mocking tone made her smirk curl. You sure you are not trying too hard to impress a certain someone? Taehyung stood up, his face set in a scowl. Why don't you back off, Jungkook? No one asked for your opinion. Jungkook's smirk faded slightly, but his eyes didn't leave Wine. I'm just giving her a head up. It's shame to see people trust the wrong one so quickly. Wine saw her inside twisted but unease, kept her composure. She met Jungkook's gaze and spoke quietly, but with a hint of confidence. I'll decide who I want to trust. For a moment, something flashed in Jungkook's eyes. Was it a surprise, anger, whatever it was gone in an instant. He scoffed. Just don't regret it later, like I did, he whispered slowly. Before anyone could say anything else, Jungkook's bodyguard came and said, Bodyguard, Master Jungkook, car has arrived, he said after bowing in front of him. Jungkook nodded at him and shot one last glare at Taehyung, then walked off to his usual swagger. While let out a breath, she hasn't realized she was rude. What's his problem? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Taehyung shot his head. That guy has always been a threat. Just stay away from him, Why? He is not worth it. She nodded, but something about Jungkook's gaze lingered in her mind. It wasn't just anger, it was something deeper, something that confused her. Namjoon, we should go too. Mom will be worried, he said to Taehyung. Taehyung nodded. Taehyung, don't think about it. Let's go home, he said to Wine, and both of them went home. They continued walking as they parted their way. Wine couldn't stop herself from wondering why Jungkook was so cold toward her. Why does he care so much? What did I do? Wine couldn't shake his word. You will regret it later. The phrase kept echoing in her head, but she quickly dismissed the thought. There was no use rebelling on his confusing behavior. After arriving home, she greeted her parents with her usual bubbly enthusiasm. Mom, Dad, there's a party this weekend, she said, sitting down at dining table. Soyeon invited me, and a few of friends are going as well. Taehyung's friend will be there too. just an innocent crush. Taehyung was everything I had ever imagined in a friend. Protective, caring, always there when I needed him. But was that enough to say that I had feelings for him? Maybe it was just his affectionate nature that drew me in. Still, there was something more, a soft spot I couldn't ignore. Yet, deep down, there was an uneasiness. Thoughts of Jungkook kept surfacing. Why did I feel this strange connection to him, even when he seemed so distant? My feelings were a tangled mess, and I wasn't sure which path my heart was leading me down. Our Jungkook lay on his bed, staring at the ceiling. His mind was running in circles. He couldn't stop thinking about the party, even though he had no intentions of going. Why should I care about someone's birthday party? Just as he was about to shut his eyes and force himself to sleep, his phone rang. He frowned when he saw the number. It was his father's secretary. What? Jungkook answered, his voice cold. Secretary, you will be attending Soyeon's birthday party, he stated, not bothering with pleasantries. Jungkook's eyes narrowed. Jungkook, I am not interested in parties. Tell my father I won't go. Secretary, this is not a request, Jungkook, he said sharply. Your father expects you to attend. Soyeon's family is a major business partner and it would be disrespectful if you didn't show up. Your presence is required. Jungkook clenched his jaw, anger shimmering beneath the surface. Jungkook, I don't care about business deals. I'm not a puppet you can pull around. Secondly, you may not care, but your father does, and there will be consequences if you fail to attend. Without another word, Jungkook entered the call and threw his phone against the wall, watching it bounce onto the floor with a thump. His hand balled into fist. This is ridiculous. Why should I be forced to go? He lay back on the bed, staring blankly at the ceiling. I don't want to go, but if I don't, my father will make my life hell. There was a brief silence before he sat up, running a hand through his hair in frustration. His thought wandered back to Nai. She would be there at party, wouldn't she? And Taehyung too. The idea of seeing her with someone else made his chest tighten, though he didn't understand why. I'll go, but not for them. I'll go to make sure why I know exactly who she's dealing with. Meanwhile, somewhere, I'm so nervous. What if he don't like me back? Come on, girl, no one can reject you. I'm sure he loved you too. I hope so. Author's note. Hello everyone, I hope you all are fine, as I literally see no engagement on my FF, so I decided to write next part only when all of the part will cross at least 200 views. Till then I will continue with other stories, complete 200 views fast if you want me to write another part, and trust me guys, the story is going to be more fun and interesting. I am building up a story for you, that's why it may seem like slow or boring, but it is not. Hope you can understand. Complete the target soon. Like, share and subscribe my channel for next part. Thanks for watching.